Earlier that year, Welles made his first professional film, but no one could find it for decades. Now, as Don Dahler shows us, the search is finally over. It's a story you'll see only on CBS This Morning.
At the Eastman House in Rochester, New York, film buffs have gathered for an extraordinary movie premiere. The film they're about to see is called Too Much Johnson, a silent film produced in 1938 by none other than Orson Welles, a legend in the world of film whose work remains a benchmark in artistic excellence.
What's the historical significance of this?
Too Much Johnson constitutes a bridge between the theatrical career of Orson Welles and its involvement with cinema. It is thanks to Too Much Johnson that, quite literally, Orson Welles fell in love with cinema.
Welles was a 23-year-old theater director when Too Much Johnson was conceived. An homage to slapstick comedy, the young artist intended to use the short movie as a novel way to introduce audiences to the characters of a stage play he planned on bringing to Broadway.
We found out that he couldn't show film, he ran out of money, and he was told that Paramount had the film rights on the stage play, so it was a disaster. So he stopped.
For half a century, the whereabouts of Too Much Johnson were unknown. Welles, who died in 1985, believed the only surviving copy had been destroyed in a fire at his Spanish villa. But last year, film canisters bearing Welles' name turned up in a warehouse in Italy.
We find films all the time. There are thousands of orphan film still waiting to be discovered, reappraised, preserved. But an Orson Welles film, this is any curator's dream.
The reels, some badly damaged, were brought to Rochester for restoration.
This is the only, as far as we know, surviving copy of the film.
Film preservationist Tony Del Grosso and his team managed to save 96% of the original material.
When you sit here on your light board and you're looking at these images, do you get an appreciation for his eye? You do, and it's one of these things where when you look at this film, I think you get a sense of Orson Welles' beginnings as a filmmaker.
Too Much Johnson was restored to how Welles had left it, partially edited and without a clear plot. But for film historians, the film's significance goes beyond the storyline.
Shot after shot, you can see Orson Welles trying a certain camera angle, trying a certain framing. What you see in Too Much Johnson will be fully revealed in that masterpiece called Citizen Kane.
Rosebud. From camera techniques to special effects, Welles brought cinematography to an entirely new level with Citizen Kane, a film so revered it makes the discovery of Too Much Johnson all the more significant.
Too Much Johnson is fundamentally an innocent film. It is a film made by a genius who still did not know he was a genius.
Fully restored, the film now enters the vault of American film history and closes the door on one of its greatest mysteries. For CBS This Morning, Don Dahler, Rochester, New York.
You know, when I see that, I think of how many other things that might have been marvelous that somehow have either been lost or been destroyed that were remarkable films and videotapes, including things at the networks, too.